What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Christian Witch Podcast. I'm your host, Chosen, also known as at Christian Witch HTX, over on Instagram and TikTok and on YouTube and Facebook. You can find me at Christian Witch X on Twitter. Yes, that is me. That is not a scammer account. For those of you who are new to the podcast, hi, my name's Chosen. Once again, I'm a certified professional psychic medium, healer, and light worker. I'm an ordained minister. I host this podcast. I'm also the associate pastor of a private online church for about 11,000 members called Christian Witch in the Craft. I also am an ordained, did I say that already? Am I ordained? Yeah, I'm ordained. I'm definitely ordained. So just so you know. And I also have an academy where I train people. It's called the Elysium Academy of Mystical Arts. And we have a bunch of new courses launching this spring. But we have a new one starting on January 26th. It's our 15-week training course in witchcraft, healing, and psychic development. So if you want to look for any information on me, you can go to christianwitchhtx.com or reach out to me on social media. And I am joined today by my fabulous co-host and bestie for the rest in real life, Lux. Lux, introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are.
Thanks.
Sorry, I'm just rambling at this point.
Thanks, Chosen. So glad to be back. So for those of you listening in on The Joy of Metaphysics, that is my podcast over at Intuitive Therapy by Lux. I do intuitive readings, spiritual healings, different things like that. Again, my name is Lux. I have a website, luxintuitivetherapy.com. I'm also a certified and ordained metaphysical minister and intuitive practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
That's a new one, right?
That's a new one.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Psychic medium. So
yeah,
yeah, literally psychic medium, intuitive reader, intuitive therapist, all words for psychic medium. So
yeah, that's awesome. So we're here. We're queer. No, I'm just kidding. We're here. We're excited to be back. Our brains are a little what are they doing? Are they protesting today?
I don't know.
They're not working.
Yeah, I'm like lagging.
Me too. Like I'm not loading as fast as possible. And it's funny because retrograde ends tomorrow, supposedly.
I know.
Although we do have the after shadow. So anyways, okay, we're talking about relationships. So let's talk about relationships. All right, so relationships. How did we get on this subject earlier? Yeah. Oh, we were talking about a client I had recently.
Well, yeah, and that's like one of the biggest questions that we as psychic mediums get asked. I mean, love, relationships, though that's like a big topic. Everyone wants to know, right?
Yeah, everyone's like dying to know, like, is this gonna last? Is so-and-so the one? Like, no. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding, you guys. If you've ever been a part of one of my lives or you got a reading from me, I typically don't just say yes or no or try to get you to like buy a service from me. Like I'm genuinely here to do healing work. And so most of the times I also educate when I give you answers. And I think we were talking about the reality of relationships is that they're free will.
Yeah.
And you were saying like things aren't written in stone and like people really want them to be. And like sometimes they can't hear the answers you're giving them.
Yeah.
You can still get direction on a relationship when there's free will involved. So I know sometimes I get questions about relationships and there's certain things I legally can't say. But I do know how to work around them and I do know how to give you the answers. But again, if you listen to our last episode, I don't want to rob people of the experience of learning the lessons they're meant to learn. I do want to help them heal and save them as much pain as possible. And so obviously that's why I do take those types of questions. But the fact of the matter is like sometimes you're just not in the place to hear the answer. You're just wanting someone to be like yes or no. And that's not that simple. There's so much more to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like what I've noticed with a lot of my clients, and this is just in general, not just with like relationships, is that people tend to think that the future is set in stone. And that's just not the case. There is a current trajectory or a current likely path that one can take or that how events may play out. But the thing is that even like going to a psychic medium and having them reveal truths that you didn't know before can change the future. Just that act can. So like, in terms of solution-based ethical messaging that me and Chosen both subscribe to, when doing relationships and love readings, like we really want to focus on what is spirit trying to get across to this person right now in terms of growth and healing? Because relationships are such an integral part of who we are as human beings and why we're here. So like our romantic relationships, our friendships, our business associations, we learn so much from those connections with
Mm-hmm.
people. And so like Chosen was saying, we're not here to rob anyone of the experiences of anything, but at the same time, no one was put here to suffer.
Yeah.
And, we're very much aware of our tendencies as human beings to not like change and to stay in things that are not right for us for too long. So if we get an indication from Spirit that that may be the situation, then we're going to try to, encourage a person as much as we can without totally robbing them or just outright telling somebody what to do. Because at the end of the day, here's the thing, whether I tell you a relationship is going to work out or not, you have to make the decision of whether or not you want to stay in that relationship. And I tell my clients all the time, like, relationships are free will, especially when they're asking, is such and such going to work out, or is this going to happen, or whatever. I've
Mm-hmm.
actually had clients like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So tell me, what is relationships free will? What does that mean?
I mean, and just in alignment with what you're saying is that everyone we meet in this life is a lesson. Okay,
Exactly.
people are lessons. We have to almost become like concerningly good at becoming detached from people. Like it almost needs to be to the level where people are wondering if there's something wrong, because I always say there's a fine line between apathy and self love, and sometimes it just looks like you just don't care and like you're just detaching. But like sometimes that's the healthiest thing to do. And like I'm not saying don't work through the situation. Like sometimes that's the result you get to after like seeing it for what it is, working through everything. It looks like detaching. And again, they're lessons. Everyone we meet is like you're a lesson, okay? If like for instance, tomorrow we're not friends anymore, I detach more than you, obviously, like it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, there's sadness.
But like I also understand, okay, well, what did I learn through this
Right.
process and move forward? And realize that there's going to be more people to come through. Like every time the train stops, somebody's got to get off, you
Right.
know? And sometimes people take that and they look at their life and it's like anytime things are stagnant, it means somebody needs to go. And like that's not really the best healthy way to do it. But sometimes it does line up that way, you know?
Yeah.
Things aren't moving forward. They're not progressing. You're not moving in the direction of your dreams or your most high or authentic self. And it's like, okay, well, look at your connections because another life hack here is prosperity is directly tied to your boundaries. Okay, your relationships. You need to reevaluate your boundaries with people, and I tell people this in my readings all the time to the point where, like, I even tell them, I'm like, listen, this part's free because I tell it to almost everyone,
Hmm.
but it's always coming up. And it's because sometimes things aren't flowing because you need to reevaluate your boundaries, your relationships with people, places, things, thoughts, TV, food, habits, whatever it may be. You have to reevaluate your boundaries, and um, nothing should have too much access to you or too much power over you or influence over you. And so that's how we have to look at people in the relationship. It's free will. We are two different people. Another fun fact: there's no such thing as twin flames. That's a lie. That's total BS. And you are completely whole from the moment you are formed. However, there are. I always say we each get 5 to 6 um, soulmate potentials, and when I say soulmate potentials, I mean people like romantically. And that's why sometimes people can be in a relationship, get married, have kids, live a beautiful life, and all of a sudden just it feels like it's over and they're things disintegrate and they're like I'll never love again the same way, and then all of a sudden they meet someone else, they're like wow, like I've never been loved like this before, and it's because there's another soulmate potential.
Mm.
And I'm not saying like you should just divorce people when things aren't going well. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that there's free will, and like you and I both have to exercise our free will to move towards a place of um, growth, expansion, healing, wholeness, prosperity in a relationship.
Yeah.
And if both parties aren't exercising that, I can't drag you along the path,
Yeah.
even as a friend, I can't drag you
That's
down
right.
or do the work for you. Um, Not only does it like rob you of the experience, but it's just going to cause you to repeat that. And then it's hindering my process. when, sometimes the healthy option is, okay, I love you, detach, and then, hopefully maybe that person catches up and you meet a couple months down the line, whatever it is. But again, things are free will, meaning that it's not written in stone. Some things are written in stone. There's some people you will cross paths with, paths with, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're supposed to be with them. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's supposed to last forever. It means that you're supposed to learn a lesson. There's something there to learn. There's something there, you have to give each other, and it's about learning lessons and ending the cycle and moving on. Not everything is oh, this, you were supposed to come into my life, and so therefore, like, it has to go on forever. No. You can have two people who want the situation to work out, but if one's unwilling to face their nonsense and heal it, and when I say nonsense, I'm sorry, that's not the best thing to say. Trauma, heartache, whatever it is that's in the way, okay? If you're not willing to face that and work towards wholeness, like, the other person in the relationship cannot do it for you, and nor is it fair or right for them to do so. Um, so yeah, there are things in life that are destiny charted that's going to happen. Like there are moments in your life that for sure will happen, but a lot of things are free will influence, and that's what I mean. Is like you can't force things to happen, and it's not like somebody can't write you and be like, "Hey, is so and so going to return?" or "Hey, is so and so going to get it together?" or X, Y, and Z. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And in terms of like relationships being free will, kind of what that means to me is that there are multiple parties involved. And so when, trying to predict a relationship thing, like again, there's like a plausible path that we can see right now, but at the same time, there are two parties involved. So like if you guys wanted to put in the effort and grow towards something and sit down and have an adult frank conversation, and work something out and work towards making love grow, which is a very possible thing. You
Yeah.
can, you can respect one another and put in the effort. Like that's the thing, is like relationships are effort, and you can grow in love with somebody, and you can find love again, and these things can grow and these things can happen, and we're not just at the mercy of, in my opinion, we're not at the mercy of like, oh well, they're either a soulmate or they're not. Do you know
Correct.
what I
You can
mean?
choose to enter a
it,
relationship with
it
anyone and make it
that's
work.
what, yeah, and that's the free will aspect. You
Yeah.
can make a relationship work with anything because spirit wants us to be happy. That's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. So I try not to get, well, I'm married now, but when I was, trying to find my partner, and that's, I stopped using for myself personally, and with my clients, I try not to use the term soulmates unless they're already accustomed to that term. I use the term divine right partner. And basically, it's a soulmate. But in order to attract, in my opinion, a soulmate, one has to um, focus on self love and self care. Because here's the thing is like, again, relationships are free will. So the universe is, in my opinion, not going to put a soulmate in your path if you guys aren't deserving of one another. And even if one crosses your path, for instance, we accept the love that we think that we deserve. So here's an example. If let's say my soulmate is an excellent man. He has excellent boundaries. He knows where he's going in life. He has found his life purpose. He is absolutely excelling. And I'm over here possibly laying in old habits. I have no boundaries. I people please. I have a lot of trauma that I have yet to unpack from childhood. I've got a lot of hurt from past relationships and baggage that I'm constantly bringing around. I have codependency issues. I'm frankly selfish and egotistical. How is it fair that, because even though we're soulmates, how is it fair that me and this man are supposed to be together? That's not fair to him.
It's correct. It's not fair to have.
And so in order for, in order for something like that to work, like we have to work on ourselves. And so a lot of my, love readings and things like this, like unless if the person, I get a lot of people that are single who are like, am I going to find love by the end of the year, whatever, and things like
Yeah.
that. It's like, first things first, we've got to get you in touch back with yourself, because we have to
Yes.
look
That's what I
at
was thinking. Yeah.
why do you need to find love by the end of the year or by the certain time frame or something like that. Of course, everybody doesn't want to feel lonely and things like this, but are you okay in your own skin?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Because the way it worked for me is that I was not okay in my own skin, and I had a lot of problems going on in my life. And until I got used to myself, was okay with me, myself, and I said, you know what? I don't want a single other person on this planet but my divine right partner. And all that means is that at this moment in time, there is a person that we equally deserve each other. We are perfect for each other. It is a divine right partner. We were both on the correct trajectory. Call that a soulmate, call that whatever you want. But
as long as you don't call it a twin flame.
Yeah, I agree. Because that has, and I'll get into the twin flame thing in a minute. That has other even worse connotations, in my opinion.
It's so bad.
And it has binding connotations, like almost the implication that you're almost bound to this person
because you choose to believe that,
right? And you're owed something to this person. You have this obligation. It's like how are you going to leave a twin flame relationship? You don't. No matter what toxicity it is, you don't, because that's the other half of your soul. How could you do that? No,
that's nonsense.
And it's nonsense and it's harmful. So, but what I'm saying is that, before my husband walked into my life, I was at a pivotal point where I was learning a lot of things about myself. I was ridding myself of codependency. I was coming out of a bad relationship, and I was learning a lot of lessons. I was reconnecting with myself, reconnecting with God, practicing self-love and self-care. And I finally got to this place, this epiphany, where I was finally okay with being in my own skin. And my skin didn't crawl when I didn't feel alone. I didn't feel like I needed somebody else to make me whole, to make me complete. And I looked up and I said a prayer. I remember this vividly. I said, God, unless you send me my divine right partner, I don't want anybody. Because it's going to be either me and you against the world and I can be alone, or I'm going to be with the person that I am meant to be with. Mm-hmm. Now, whatever that may be. And so literally 2 or 3 weeks later, he walks into my life. And that was 4 years ago, and now we're married, and me and him, we can count on our 2 hands how many times we have fought. We just simply do not argue. We both appreciate each other. We've both done our inner work. Is he my soulmate? I don't know. I don't know. But every single day I wake up grateful for him, and every single day I try to put in the work in this moment. Are we going to be together for the rest of our life? I don't know. I would like, you know what I'm saying? I would like that. Everyone would. Everyone thinks their marriage is going to work out. But I know that people grow apart. And so every single day I cherish the time that I have with him. I cherish him. And I think that he is grown enough to understand that also. And so we have an immense amount of gratitude and appreciation in our relationship. And I, honest to God, think that that's why we don't fight.
And because you're both choosing.
Right. And we're choosing love. We're choosing to love each other rather than stand in our own egotism. And so every time we start to get in a little argument or we bicker back and forth, like, it doesn't last long because we're like, you know what? This is so freaking pointless. This is so pointless. Like, all I want to do is love you. I don't want to fight with you. And we just stand in gratitude. So, like, a lot of these relationships that, and I never have questioned if, I've never questioned, are we going to work out? Are we not going to work out? Are we going to work out? Like, I never questioned that. I didn't question it before I walked down the aisle. I just didn't question it. Not a single time. And, usually if we're consciously questioning things like that, it's because our soul, our spirit is screaming at us that something's off, and we need to take a step back, and there needs to be some adjustments made. Does that mean you got to drop everything and run, girl? No,
exactly.
I don't think so, but it definitely means that you need to sit down with your significant other and have a frank conversation about boundaries, what's bothering you, open, honesty, communication.
And sometimes it's not even super deep. It's just like you both need to recenter and focus in the right direction.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Like open, honest, vulnerable communication, appreciation, and gratitude is like the makings of a relationship. Like you cannot I don't believe you can have a relationship without those things.
Well, yeah. And just like you said earlier, like, and this is something I say it at least once in a live, if not 3 or 4 times. And it does come up with clients as well on the subject. But like, your goal should not be to find love at least at first. Like, if you want to make it a goal somewhere, that's fine. But like, it should not be your end all be all goal. Your first goal should be to do your inner work.
Yes.
Because the more you come into alignment with the highest version of yourself, that is the type of partner you're going to attract.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's the type of partner you're going to attract. And so if you're looking for love while you're just starting out on like trying to like fix your internal world, then you're going to get stuck with that partner. And if you don't understand that you're not stuck with that partner,
Yeah.
it's going to be incompatible from the get-go.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate quickly. I'm glad that you touched on that because then it's starting to sound like maybe we're getting into some law of attraction type stuff. And I don't want to steer the conversation in that way. What I
It's not.
believe
Yeah.
that, yeah, what I believe that Chosen is saying is that we, what do I always say? It's, the amount of abuse we take from others is directly proportional to the amount of we are abusing ourselves on the inside. So if I have self-deprecating talk, if I am literally in my head all day long, I'm talking about I'm stupid, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm incompetent, I can't do this, I'm this, I'm that. I'm talking about all of this self-deprecating stuff in my head and I'm just beating myself up.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I am with other people and they start treating me like that, for instance, if a partner starts treating me like that, I'm not going to find anything wrong with that. My standard is so low because I've set the bar for myself already inside my mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I treat myself like that. So then if somebody else starts treating me like that, I'm like, I don't see anything wrong with it until that person starts treating me worse than how I'm treating myself, then there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're talking about doing the inner work, that's why this is so important because we raise our standards, we hold them high, we have our boundaries set, we know how we should be treated because we are treating ourselves with respect. With the utmost respect. When we're starting to
Mm-hmm.
talk and love on ourselves and talk about ourselves in a positive way, and someone gives us some kind of ish, we're
Mm-hmm.
not going to stand for it. And
Yeah.
that's why, first and foremost in relationships, it's self love.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
It's self-love and it's healing and it's coming into alignment with those more pure frequencies. And the reason we do that is because the incorrect harmful frequencies can't withstand that.
Absolutely.
So whether that resides in a person or just, a situation, like it either has to transform and match the higher, more pure frequency or it has to leave. So there's even in all of this, like there is what I call design laws and just like magical laws, and even the hermetic principles are at play here. It's There's more going on, and so like the more you focus on healing and wholeness within yourself first, this is what I always say: if you don't have your inner world established, then when all of the blessings are unleashed in your outer world, you're gonna crumble on the
That's
inside.
right.
Yeah, your internal, like your infrastructure can't withstand even good or bad on the outside. You have to do the internal work first.
Yeah, because you
And
won't be able to accept them. Because you have
exactly.
all this grace of God raining down around you and you don't think that
Mm-hmm.
you're worthy of it.
Yeah. Yep, yep, yep.
Absolutely. Same thing if you have a partner, because I've had them in my life. I remember being very, you know, coming out of childhood, having a rough time, and being in high school and really going through some stuff. And I got this boyfriend, and he was absolutely amazing. He was one of those guys that like opened the car door for you and like yeah, he drove like a Jeep. He like picked me up from like to school and took me home and like did all this like really chivalrous stuff and his family was just amazing. Like made me dinner, like they loved me. They were showering me. Every single person in that family, even his little sister loved me. And you know how the
Mm-hmm.
little sister's usually like, I don't think so. You know what I mean? Like, this is my house. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Even she was nice to me. Everyone was so nice. And I was in such a bad place. I could not accept their love. And I literally told this man, I said, I'm not headed down the path that you are, and we're not going to be able to be together and I will hurt you and I have to leave. And he didn't understand why, and I really
The
hurt
fact
him.
that you had the oversight for that, like,
I think I've always been intuitive and self-aware, even in my
yeah.
worst moments.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that this guy was like way too good for me and for what I was. And really, maybe it's just self-pity. Maybe it's not even intuition. Maybe it's just freaking self-pity. But
And like, just so we're clear, guys, like if you're finding yourself in a situation like that, that doesn't mean like you have to do the same thing. Because here's the deal: if people don't know what they don't know, so what happened in that situation is you're believing, you're coming into alignment with these ideas of yourself, and like I totally believe that you would have been capable of and this is what I'm saying, like things are free will, not everything's
That's
destiny
what,
charted.
yep, there it is.
You could have healed and been like, oh, this is what they see in me. I choose to believe
Right.
this truth, and then step into that identity and he do the healing
That's
then.
exactly right.
But however, you still ended up where you're supposed to be, regardless, because things are not destiny charted.
That's it. That's exactly
You
right.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I wasn't like saying anything about like you like it had nothing to do with the situation or how you handled it. I was just saying like look at the way it could have went.
Yeah.
And both are correct.
Yeah, Chosen, that's an excellent point. Like, in that moment, I was not giving advice on like how things should be run, but he's exactly right. Like, just think if I was in that relationship and if I would have chosen to heal that stuff, to accept that love, and to realize, actually, I am worthy of this, and to do that inner work, and not chosen to run from it, and stood in an uncomfortable place and received their love, and you know, made myself accepted in their family in some way that could have healed me if I chose to heal,
Yeah.
but I chose to run.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if he would have went to a psychic, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, the probability she could have seen is like, hey, she's not ready. She's not
Yeah.
mature enough emotionally to look at her stuff. She's not in a moment where she's able to do that. But if she chooses to,
Yes.
it's not likely, but if she chooses to, then absolutely it could work out.
Absolutely.
And that's a perfect example right there, is that like he was doing everything right, but it was not fair to him and it was not fair to me in that moment unless I decided to work on myself and get healing. And in my opinion, I have to tell this, in my opinion, I did not deserve that man in that moment. I did not. I am a woman enough to look back and say, I was not in a place where I was deserving of that. Now we all know that we're deserving of everything.
I don't believe that. I believe you were.
But in terms of like treatment is what I'm saying. Like, would I have treated him with the same respect that he was giving me? I was not capable.
I don't believe you weren't deserving. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But and by the way, guys, if you're friends, you can disagree on subjects. But
no, I hear what you're saying. Like, under the eyes of God, everybody
not
is
even
deserving.
even under the eyes of God, and under the eyes of actuality. In your worst moment, you are worthy of receiving unconditional love. You are also worthy of meeting others in their worst moment with unconditional love. Okay? Now, people don't know what they don't know. And so that's of no fault to yourself that things played out however they did. In any situation, for any of you listening, like, you know how we talked about, like, there were options there. Like, it could have gone either way. And at that moment, it just didn't go that one way. That's not a shameful part of you. You don't have to regret or mourn that it didn't go that way. Because again, people don't know what they don't know. And so it's almost like you need to give yourself grace, but also when we are dealing with others who are going through things and they're not choosing to lean in and do the work and level up and heal. Sometimes they just don't know what they don't know. And that can almost allow us to have more grace for them and understanding and release ourselves from like this sense of almost like false guilt and responsibility we have. And it allows us to just know, like, oh, like they literally they just don't get it, they don't understand. And you know, of course, assuming you're blessed enough to see the bigger picture. But yeah. I don't even know what else I was going to say.
Let me lay this one on you, because I 100% agree with you, and I totally hear where you're coming from, and I agree with you. But this is what I'm saying. So I'm saying that if tomorrow, so I'm married, right? If tomorrow I went and cheated on my husband, am I worthy of his time, his attention, his affection, and his treatment? No, I'm not.
Yes, you are, because you're not earning love.
I cannot break the sacred bond of loyalty and expect him to spend time with me, to want to hang out with me, to put his arms around me in affection, to do all these things. Like, that's a totally unrealistic expectation, because he's going to be upset.
Correct. I'm not saying that's not how we're going to feel in the moment, but the reality of the matter is nothing's changed. If you do bad things, it doesn't change. You're not worth anything less.
No, I'm not saying that I am worth something, because that I'm saying that I'm not worthy of his time, attention, treatment, whatever the case may be. Am I worthy across the board, whatever the case I do? Yes, of unconditional love. Even hate this, but even unfortunately, murders, rapists, and all these other people, they are worthy as
Yeah.
human beings of unconditional love.
Yeah.
Maybe I am not at that point because I'm not Jesus or the creator to have the capacity to give that to those type of people. Just as he may not be in that moment have the capacity to give those things to me because I have transgressed and I have hurt him in some way. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
like equal treatment is what I'm...
so love holds no account of wrong done.
Unconditional love, yeah.
No, just love. Just
Well,
love.
that's what unconditional love is.
So love in general holds no account of wrong done. And so while I get what you're saying, like, do they not have the right to be upset? Do they not have the right to react? Like, absolutely.
Well, he can still love me, but does that
100%,
mean
but
that I'm worthy of his time, attention, affection? No,
from a healed perspective, yeah.
I wouldn't say so.
I think so.
I wouldn't say so.
I think so.
No, because that's his boundary. His boundary is I'm not going to treat her the same because she has hurt me and she has broken our sacred bond, and I'm not going to put into this relationship. I'm going to pull back on my heartstrings. I'm going to cut ties, and I'm probably going to leave the relationship.
Correct. So I see what you're saying, why that would feel that way. However, so when we look at the law of love
what would happen.
And the law of you want him to just be like, oh, bye, we're done.
Absolutely.
You don't want there to be forgiveness?
No, I would want him to say, you have hurt me. You have broken the sacred bond the sacred vow that we took that day. And even though I love you and I forgive you for what you've done, we can no longer be in a marriage together.
So that's how you would personally
because I would not want him to just, I love you and forgive you, and me go cheat on him. Okay, do you love him and forgive me now? Yeah, that's fine. Okay, and then I'll go cheat on him again.
Well, then it becomes a problem and you have to draw a boundary.
Okay, so one time it's okay.
No, it's not okay at all.
Correct.
But what I'm saying is that it doesn't change worth.
It's not my worth that's changed. It's, am I worthy of him?
Deserving
of him.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, because love only exists in a place of freedom to make
because
mistakes.
because here's the thing. If he was sitting here and not me, and he looked you in the face, Wesley, and said, my wife keeps cheating on me, do I deserve that?
Do you deserve to be cheated on? Absolutely not.
Exactly.
But it's not about him.
It is about him, too,
No, it's not, because the issue is you.
It's about...
You have a problem.
It's about two people.
By the way, she doesn't actually have a cheating problem.
No, okay, I don't actually have a cheating problem.
She doesn't have a cheating problem.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So, last thing. So I know what you're saying. Like, me, as a person, my worth, my value as a child of God does not change no matter how far down the scale that I've gone. And I totally 100% agree with you. But in terms of like what he should stand for and the type of woman that he deserves, I was not worthy. I didn't make the cut, because he deserves a woman who doesn't treat him that way. And I don't make that cut.
I don't think worthy is the word.
Maybe I'm using... Maybe
that's why I'm getting hung up, because you know how I am with semantics. Sometimes
yes.
I'll just get caught up and it takes me a second to catch it.
Do you get what I'm saying?
No, I get what you're saying. So here's the deal. Worthy, you're absolutely worthy.
Do you guys know what I'm saying?
Who knows? Who knows? I told you my brain wasn't working. But I will tell you this. You're so in this fictional situation.
Yes, a fictional situation.
You are 100% worthy of him rising above, getting over it, and y'all moving towards wholeness and healing.
Oh, yeah, if that's what he,
Correct.
Yeah.
However, but we can't dictate how he's going to react to what he does from it.
Yeah.
So what this is actually about is a boundary situation. And he says, unfortunately, so it's really about him again.
Yeah.
He is no longer comfortable, able to trust you. Has nothing to do with you being worthy. It has to do with him not being able to get over his trauma. Okay?
Yeah.
That sounds blunt and it sounds harsh, but like it really is about that, okay? Because if he were able to work through it, you could move towards wholeness and you could come back to healing. However, we're not saying anyone should do that or that's what you absolutely have to do.
It's possible,
I'm just saying
though.
in like the best of best scenarios, like that is honestly that could be done. However, that's not typical. That's not what we expect of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I get what you're saying.
Yeah, you do.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying too.
And I think I don't always communicate as clearly as I want to, or effectively as I mean to. But yeah, I mean, doesn't that sound so harsh and effed up though?
No, it isn't. It doesn't.
Because
Because
when
it's
it really
really.
comes down to it, like emotions out of it, that's what it is.
So here's what I'm gathering. What it really comes down to me is through this conversation that we've had, this little thought exercise, is
Stay
like
single, it's easier. No,
it
I'm
just
kidding. It's not.
straight up.
It's not. It's not. It's not.
It
It's a
just
joke.
again reiterates the fact that relationships are free will in the plainest sense, because if
Yes.
whether it be me sitting in front of Chosen and how he's going to direct me, right? He's going to tell me, hey, regardless of what you've done, atone for your past mistakes, make amends, do right next time. You are worthy of God's love, seek redemption. But if it's Jonathan or whomever sitting in front of him who's the one that's being cheated on, he's going to be saying something different. And that's because the relationship has everything to do. It's 100% and 100%. There's two moving
Yeah.
factors involved here.
So if you
it's not
actually-
you and another like dog or something else that wouldn't have like you and a rock.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, are me and this rock going to be together? It's like, well, the rock has a mind of its own and its own free will.
Can we do like a fake reading real quick?
Sure.
Or a little spiritual counseling, life counseling session. If you were to come to me and that was the actual situation, like, I think the best way to sum this up, because you just summed it up, but like in my head, I was like, oh, like, she's right. I would tell you what you just said. Like, first of all, you have to work towards forgiving yourself.
Right.
You're worthy of love, and you need to seek redemption and understand that nothing you do removes that worth from you. If he were to sit down, I would say, what you need to understand is that what happened was incorrect, and it was not a reflection of you. It was a reflection of the internal struggle on the other person. These are your options. You can work towards wholeness and healing, but you're not required to do so.
Right.
Excuse me. And you can totally choose to do whatever you want to do, but please understand, like, don't let this hurt you. Because again, what am I doing? I'm always working towards healing, regardless
Right.
of the outcome. And that's where the free will comes into play.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So is that, we're on the same line?
We're on the exact
Okay,
same
exactly.
page. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why relationships are free will.
Girl, ain't that the truth? To the point nothing could be wrong and you don't understand why you don't want to be in a relationship and you have to figure it out.
Yeah.
No personal experience there.
That was great.
That was great. That was a fun time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so just so we're clear, guys, little disclaimer. This is not about anybody. This is not any particular situation. We have a list of running topics, and sometimes we just get talking in the car or when we're together, and we're just like, we should be recording this, and if we can't record it, we'll just like pause the conversation and pick it up later. So by all means, if you're going through this, or if you happen to know us in real life, or come to us for readings, we are not calling you out. That's not what this is about. But end of the story, things are free will. Some things are destiny charted. Like, you're gonna hit certain moments in your life. But relationships, there's just too many moving factors. And yeah. Also, like, wouldn't you want someone to choose to love you? Why would you want them to love you just because they're destined to do so?
I 100% agree
Yeah.
with that statement.
Anyways,
Yeah.
so okay. Well, love you guys. It's been so good catching up. And yeah, what do I normally say at this point? My brain's dead. Oh yeah, feel free to come find us on the interwebs. Like, share, subscribe, follow, high five, clap, stalk me at my house. I don't care. I'm just kidding. That is not an actual invitation. Do not stalk me. But yeah, Christian Witch HTX if you want to get a hold of me. You can go to my website, christianwitchhtx.com. And if you want to get a hold of Lux, plug your stuff.
Yeah, luxintuitivetherapy.com, and then Intuitive Therapy by Lux. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
All right, guys. Love you. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.